So this video is just an addendum to section 1b, talking a little bit more about conditionals. So for these examples, which were on the original video, but I'm going to go into a bit more detail. We have a statement P, or a proposition P, which is it is raining. And we have a proposition Q, which is I will bring an umbrella. It's an M, umbrella, to work. So we can form, first of all, the conditional statement if P then Q. So if it is raining, then I will bring an umbrella to work. Whenever you have a conditional, you can form three other conditional type statements from your original. The first one is what is called the converse. And the converse is when you just flip the locations of, it's when you flip the locations of the P and the Q. So instead of a P first and a Q second, we have a Q first and a P second. So the converse statement would be if Q then P. If I bring an umbrella to work, because Q is first, then it must be raining. The second type of statement you can form is called the inverse. And the inverse is when you keep them in the same order. So here is the P first and the Q second, but I negate both propositions. So the inverse is if not P, then not Q. So if it is not raining, then I will not bring an umbrella to work. And then the third one you can form is known as the contrapositive, where now Q and P have switched positions, just like they did for the converse, but now I'm negating both of them. So if I do not bring an umbrella, then it must not be raining. So you need to be familiar with forming the converse, the inverse, and the contrapositive given a conditional statement. Now, let's look at an example of doing this. So here we have two different statements. If a creature is a whale, and I'm going to call that P, a creature is a whale is what I'm going to call P, and then let me use orange. It is a mammal is what I'm going to call Q. And we are given the conditional statement, if P, then Q. So what we'd like to do is form those three other types of propositions. So let's do the converse, which you'll recall, the converse is when you just switch the order. So it would be if Q, then P. And in English, that would be if a creature is a mammal, then it is a whale. If a creature is a mammal, then it is a whale. Now let's do the inverse, which you'll recall is I keep them in the same order, but I negate both of them. So if not P, then not Q. And in English, that would be if a creature is not a whale, then it is not a mammal. And finally, we can do the contrapositive, which now we reverse the order and we negate them. So if not Q, then not P. So in English, if a creature is not a mammal, because that's what not Q is, then it is not a whale. So that's the first part of this problem. This is answering the part where you're supposed to write the converse, the inverse, and the contrapositive. Now we want to think about the truth of each statement and which ones are logically equivalent. Okay, well, let's just go through these one by one. First of all, with the original proposition, if a creature is a whale, then it is a mammal. Well, that's true because every creature, because every whale is also a mammal. So this conditional statement, this is true. Let's look at the converse. If a creature is a mammal, then it is a whale. Well, that's going to be false because we can come up with examples of things that are mammals, but they're not whales. All of us, right? Every student listening to this video is a mammal, but not a whale. That's a false statement. Let's look at the inverse. If a creature is not a whale, then it is not a mammal. Well, that's also clearly false because every student listening to this video is not a whale, but they are mammals. And finally, contrapositives. If something is not a mammal, then it is not a whale. Well, this is a true statement because since all whales are mammals, if something is not a mammal, then it cannot be a whale. So that's the truth value of each of the statements. And now which of them are logically equivalent? Well, the ones that have the same truth value. So these two are logically equivalent and these two are logically equivalent. So what is the takeaway from all of this? The important thing to remember is the following. I'm going to fit it inside this little green box right here. A conditional statement is logically equivalent to the contrapositive always. Any conditional is always logically equivalent to its contrapositive. And then the inverse of a statement is always logically equivalent to the converse. So that's what you need to keep in mind. Know how to form the converse, the inverse, and the contrapositive, and know which of those four are logically equivalent to one another. And that's all that I wanted to say on this little extra video. As always, let me know if you have questions, and I hope you have a good day.